The crane team concentrates on what they call the pick, lifting the crowning piece of steel track. It must be hoisted at a precise angle and kept level. It's a long way up, and the placement must be perfect.
So when we set the top piece on, we may have to push those track pieces out just a little bit to allow us to fit in properly. It can go very quickly, or it may take up to upwards of an hour or two, depending on how difficult it is to fit the piece in.
Suddenly, as if on cue, the fog breaks, and there's a clear view of the top of the 45-story tower. Finally, it's time for liftoff. They make the pick. Everyone watches and waits. The fit must be exact. It's a game of inches.
Touching down. The Eagle has landed. It's done.
After all the weather setbacks and delays, the record-breaking tower is finally complete. It's an historic day for the engineers and entire crew at Six Flags.
They picked it quickly, they set it in, and they were able to make it up very, very quickly. Much faster than I thought. I actually thought it would take a lot longer.
But there's no time to celebrate. It's now only 3 months to opening day. The crews shift into overdrive to finish off the track and begin testing the coaster. But their good luck is short-lived. Their nemesis has returned with a vengeance. Another bitter storm blows in and dumps 2 feet of snow on the job site. Instead of firing up the cranes, workers fire up the snowplows, and another day goes to waste. Although the track work on the fastest coaster on Earth is going painfully slow, there is good news at the base of the main tower. Inside this hydraulics building, the parts for the launch system are arriving on schedule. It's like Christmas again for the mechanics, as they begin piecing together the components to the most powerful hydraulic launch system in roller coaster history. Building the highest coaster in the world is a huge feat. But the real challenge is breaking the speed record.
That's enough.
0 to 128 in 3.5 seconds is no joke. Unleashing this awesome power is a hydraulic launch system more massive than anything of its kind in the coaster world. 12,500 horsepower in a single blast, and more than 12 times the horsepower of a Formula One race car. The launch system is basically a high-tech catapult. Once it's assembled, here's how it works. At the starting gate, the train of roller coaster cars is loaded and locked onto this red shuttle called the catch car, which is pulled along the track on a cable. The hydraulics power the cable. When the operator pushes the launch button, the hydraulics spring into action, and there's no turning back. 5,000 gallons of hydraulic fluid is forced through a series of motors. The motors spin a giant drum. The drum rapidly winds the cable, pulling the coaster down the track and up to the top of the tower. The engineers like to think of the hydraulic system that powers the launch like a big squirt gun.
I like to think of it sort of like the world's biggest super soaker system. A super soaker works when you pump the handle and you put high pressure air into that little tank, and you pull the trigger and the air blasts the water out.
With a price tag of about $5 million, that's one expensive super soaker. After a few weeks of tinkering, the launch system morphs into a giant mechanical spider. Massive hoses sprawl out of the drum and motors, connecting to the hydraulic fluid reservoirs. It's slow going, but if they don't get every connection right the first time, they'll have to take it apart and start all over again. But they're still waiting for delivery of the most important component of the hydraulic system, the massive accumulator tanks. They are the heart of the ride, pumping hydraulic fluid through the motor to supercharge the coaster to record-breaking acceleration.
Accumulators are like the heart of the ride. It's kind of like the way a heart pushes the blood around through the body. The accumulator pushes the hydraulic fluid through the motor so we can get the launch up to speed.
Got it? That's good.
The mechanics are getting nervous. The tanks should have come 2 days ago, but the trucks are running behind schedule due to the heavy snowstorm. But on the third day, they're back in business. The trucks have arrived with the accumulator tanks. The hydraulics are about to get a serious power boost. But first, they have to get them inside. Each of the 4 accumulator tanks weighs a whopping 40,000 pounds and must be hoisted out of the trucks by a heavy-duty crane. One false move, one break in a connection could send the accumulators plummeting to a premature death that would strike a fatal blow to Kingda. The accumulators take a year to make. There are no spares. It takes all day, but at last the accumulator tanks are in place. And the countdown to the most powerful roller coaster launch in history has begun.
I've never dealt with a hydraulic system like this.
It's a relatively new system they must quickly master to eke out every last drop of acceleration. They must ensure that every component of the launch system, the track and the cars, can handle the stress. Every part has a breaking point, a fact of engineering that might come back to haunt them when they least expect it. With the accumulators in place, they are poised to begin the next phase, the test launch of Kingda. It's one thing to build it, but will it work? Will the biggest, fastest roller coaster on Earth clear the final hurdle? Ultimate Roller Coaster will return on Megastructures. Welcome back to Megastructures Ultimate Roller Coaster. February 15th, 2005. Overcoming one of the most severe winters in the history of the eastern U.S., the crew building Kingda, the world's tallest, fastest roller coaster, has finally bolted the last piece of track into place. But the delays have come at a cost. They're over budget and weeks behind schedule. Opening day, April 23rd, is approaching fast.